So for this session, I'll be using IDE as PyCharm. So I'm sure you have heard about this tool PyCharm, which is very popular Python integrated development framework. So you can basically this is like interface is very nice. You can use you can come to this interpreter Python interpreter build an execution, and you can just play with it. So you can so you could see like here Python interpreter is Python. This is my Python interpreter path. You can see all the packages which I've installed here. And if you want to install something, you can go to plugins section and you can search packages and you can install. Okay, so it's good and good ID to work with. So let's get started, friends. So we'll basically talk about like list. Basically, we'll talk about lists and tuple like. So let's get started with list. I'm creating one list like 1 3, and as you know, like lists are mutable, so you can basically add or modify any list. Okay, so here I'm trying to modify a list. Okay, and so you could see like here I am trying to uh, replace the first value of the list with 4, and I want to append or add another value with the current list structure. So if I want to print it, so you could see it will. I want to print my list. So it will basically give me a new list which will have four values: 4, 2, 3, 5. So one is replaced with 4 and 5 is getting added. Okay. Now if you want to do the same operations in tuple, you will not want to do, because as you know, like tuple is mutable. Okay. So if I mention something like my tuple is equal to 0 and then 4, if I do that, then what it will say? It will say that tuples does not support item assignment. That means it's immutable. Okay, you could replace with the list. It's mentioned here. Okay, and then you can continue. So if I try to print my tuple, so it will return something like an exception. It will return an exception. Okay, you could see like it's mentioning that my tuple 0 is equal to 4. Tuple object does not support item assignment. Okay, so what you could do is that you could convert tuple with a list. Okay, so by doing that, you could see your curly braces or parentheses will be replaced with square brackets. Now you can change it. Okay, you could see like 1 is replaced with 4. That's the beauty of Python. It will allow you to replace, you to convert tuple with a list. Okay, similarly, you could do something like tasks read. You can write some string values. Okay, write. Okay. Now, if you want to, this is for string values I'm doing. Append. I want to something like sleep. Okay. And then if I want to like print it, task. So it will do the same operations like what for list. So you can see slip is added in the bottom. Okay. And then last, similarly, if you want to remove some element, so you should do something like this, like tasks dot remove. Okay. This will probably not work. I want to remove um, read. Let's see if it works. Not. You can see like read is removed. So it starts with write, exercise, and sleep. Okay. Same operations you can do here. You can just say my list dot remove to do that. So this will remove the second element. So you could see like it prints 435. So 2 is removed. Okay. That's how it works. So we'll get started with some of the Python decorators. So as I mentioned, decorators is other functions that take another functions as an argument. So let's see how it works. So if you create a function in Python, so in Python a function always starts with def, okay, and then you can give an argument, okay, and then so I'll create another function inside a function. Okay. Now if I want to print something, let's say I want to print something like before function function is called, okay, and then I want to call another function, okay, so and then print after function is called, okay, and then I will return the return wrapper. So indentation is very important in Python, so make sure it is properly indented, okay, and now to make sure this decorator is called by another function, you can use something like @my underscore decorator. This is an argument, a annotation that is provided by Python, where you can call one function through another function. Okay, this is the very beauty of Python. So you can create one more function. Let's say hello. Let's say I want to make it hello. Okay, and then print hello. Okay, finally I'm calling hello function. I'm calling this hello function. Okay, this function uses an annotation my decorator. Now this will invoke this my decorator function, okay, and it will execute this piece of code. Okay, so if you run this code, so what it says, this my hello, okay, it will first print before function is called, okay, then it will be called, it will print the content that is hello, okay, and then it will print after function is called, okay, then it will execute, it will finish. So that's how you can use decorators in Python. You can see I'm calling this function my decorator from another function. Okay, okay. So basically, my decorator here takes a function func func as an argument, and defines a nested function wrapper. Okay, that adds behavior that adds behavior before and after functions. Okay, before and after. That's how you can use decorator. Similarly, like you can give arguments in the decorators. For example, I want to give arguments. Okay, so let's say args or um, like something like x and y. You can give something like that, or then you can like you can print like result is equal to func x and y. You can do like this. Okay, now you can so here once you are done, you can basically return the result. Okay, so I have to return the result here. Okay, now since I am passing two arguments, so you can also here write hello. Let's see if it works. It will print two times hello hello. Okay, and basically that's how you can basically pass the uh, arguments in the decorators. Okay, next is you can use loggers also in Python in decorators. So and you can use authentication also in decorators. Okay, so you can do something like this. Let's you can I'll create a new function here, def logs. Okay. And then you can say def wrapper argument you can pass. Okay, and then you can just say print calling the function. You can mention like this. Okay, now you can also say like return func. Okay, you can return the arguments. Okay, now you can say like so that is done. So now you can return wrapper. Okay, now you can just call the decorator log decorator and then def add a comma b. So I'm adding something here. Send return in a plus b. I'm returning the sum of the those two arguments. Okay, comma b. Once that is done, I'm just add zero 3. So I'm just passing like this. So this is wrong here. Okay. Let's see if it works. So it's, you can see here it's calling the function. Okay. You can also change it something like this. You can mention like if and then calling, and then you can do like this. And call the function name itself. You can do like that also. So you can see it's mentioned calling add. So it's calling this add function. Okay, you can use the logs like this, calling the function name. You can do like this also. Okay, that's all about decorators. So let's like go to the next Python modules and packages. So let's say how will I call a module? How will I call a class from another class? So let's say I have created a my module class here, right? So it has parameters called greet and the add. Okay. Now, how will I call this class from my samples class? Okay. Let's see that. So, so to do that, I have to use import. I mentioned like you should use import. Okay. And then you can mention something like print. Okay. My module. Once you import the module class, okay, then you will get all the properties of this class. You can call any of the functions, any of the functions inside the class, any of the methods inside the class. You can do that. So yeah, I'm calling my method, then I will use greet. Okay, then you can just write something else simple. Okay, now you can also do something like my module. There is another function I've written, which is add function. You can just call add here. Okay, and then you can say 3 comma 4. So you can run this and it will give you the answer, which is hello Alice. Okay, and return a plus 4 plus is equal to 7. Okay, that's how you can basically use import keyword. So import is basically a using import you can basically import any class. Okay, import any package, import any module to another class. Okay, so now for example, if you want to import any specific, let's say if you want to import any specific method, let's say, so let's say I want to import, let's say I want to import any specific method. So I should use my module and then import, okay, greet. That's how you should write. Then you can use print and then you can say greet, okay, sorry, greet, and then you should write something like this, Bob. So there is no semicolon in Python, so you can just clean this. You can see hello Bob. So if you want to import any specific function, use this, and it starts with from class import function. Okay, that's how you do it. And so if you want to import any specific package, let's say from uh, uh, Selenium library, okay, import import. Let's say anything you want to import Selenium library, you can use that. Okay, any sub module. So from my package, okay, and then sub module. Okay, that's how you can do that. So similarly, it's applicable for package packages also. Okay. The next part is we will try to do some exception handling. So exception handling, let's say I'll create a function like divide numbers. Okay, a comma b. So I want to divide it, but here I will try to implement the exception handling using try catchy block. Okay, result is equal to a by b. I want to divide it, so I will definitely use a by b, and then I will use except block. Okay, and then I will use something as 0. So Python has several types of exception. So one of the zero division error is one of the exception. So you need to use this here. As I mentioned, like exception handling will have like a try catchy block. So except block is like a block that catches and handles exception that are raised in a try block. So here try block will raise the exception, but it will catch it. The except block will basically catch it. Okay, so for that we need to use the exception here and as e. Okay, and then you can print. Let's say you can print something like cannot divide by 0. You can use something like that. If you want to basically print the exception message, you can use something like this. If and yeah, and you do like this. Similarly, you can also something like um, except type error. You can use any other common exception. Let's say if the input type is invalid, then you can use e. You can use that also. Then you can also mention the same print statement here. Okay, the invalid input type, invalid input type. Okay, similarly you can say something like else. So it will have an else block also. So else block, as I mentioned, like else block is executed if no exceptions are raised. For example, if this is a valid argument, okay, where you have passed valid inputs, and if you don't get any exception, then else block will print, right? So obviously you can give print if the result is result. You can just mention something like this. Next is as I mentioned, it has finally block which always get printed, right? Finally block. Just like Java also we have finally blocks. In Python also we have finally block which always get printed. So execution of the try block is complete. So that's how we write exception handling in Python. So you can see if try block raises an exception, it will be catched by except block, else it will print the else block, and finally block is always get printed. To run this, so you can see this giving, but now we have to pass the input. So if we just pass the input, then let's say divide by numbers. Okay, then comma 2. Okay, so it will, and then wait, let's say divide like 10 comma 0, and then divide, we mention something like if you pass 3 argument, let's see how it works. Does it comes here? Oh, sorry. I have to, as I mentioned, Python, there's an indentation problem. So we should move it here. Let's see if it works now. There you go. It gives a proper message. The execution of try block is complete. So it's printing the final block. Cannot divide by 0. So it's printing the except block. Then invalid input type supported by operand block int and str. So it's like invalid type. Okay. And so that's how you get the response. If there is any exception raised in type try block, it comes to the it is handled by the except block. Okay. So let's move to the next. So next we'll try about like deep copy and shallow copy. So deep copy will be like, as I mentioned, deep copy will print the exact copy, and shallow copy will not print the exact copy, it will print the referenced copy. So we can just say original list. Let's say I want to give the original list as 1, 2, and then something like this 3, 3, 4, whatever it is, 3, 4. Okay. Now click on one more here. Now shallow copy list is equal to copy dot copy. So we are using copy dot copy for shallow copy. Okay, so I'll use original list here. Now, so I'm basically referencing the using reference variable shallow copy that will take the value from the original list. Okay, now I'm using shallow copy list. I'm giving a value of a shallow copy list. Let's say 0, let's say 2 comma 0 is equal to 99. Okay, now I want to print it. So here giving the value for second element. So it's a two-dimensional array. So second element I'm giving 2 comma 0 99. Okay. So I'm trying to print the value. So let's see how it works. So print original list. Original list. Okay. Similarly, we'll print the shallow copy list also. So we'll see what happens. So we'll put a breakpoint and we'll see. Debug. Debug. So you could see here it has taken the original list. Okay. Now the moment I move here, it will take the reference variable 99. Okay, and then it will print. So you could see original list and will be printing the reference variable which is 99. Okay, but that's not the case for deep copy. Deep copy will use something else. So let's see what happens in deep copy. It will print the exact copy of the original copy. So instead of copy, we'll use something called as deep copy here. Okay. deep copy. That's the only difference. We use method deep copy, and for deep copy and shallow copy we use copy method. Okay, so we'll use deep. Let's see. Good see friends. I'll, I'll try to do I'll try to show in the debug point. You could see in deep copy it is taking the original list, but moment it comes here, you could see original list is printed 1, 2, 3, 4, which is this. Okay, the copy list is print 1, 2, 99, 4. So it will not change the original list. Original list will stay at it. It will be the same. But if you see in shallow copy, the original list will also change by the reference variable, right? That's the difference here. Deep copy will not modify the original list, but shallow copy will modify the original list. Okay, that's a basic difference between deep copy and shallow copy. There's a difference in the referencing. Okay. So I think we have discussed more. Let's see if we can find some other topics. Python decorators we have discussed, and exceptions we have discussed. Modules also we have discussed. Packages also we have discussed. Errors also we have discussed. Okay, I think now we should uh, see that like how to instantiate a method. Okay, so let's say we have a class called car. Okay, we can just type like this, and then we have a method. As I mentioned, constructors are init method, right? So we can just say init. So init always, as I mentioned, every method in Python starts with self, right? And we can just give a another argument, brand, let's say model. Okay, now you can basically instantiate something like in Java also you have seen, right? Self dot brand equal to brand. Okay, similarly you can mention self dot model is equal to model. Same thing applies in Python also. Now you can have one function here like info, display info. You can mention something like, as I mentioned in Python also, every method starts with self, right? Will compulsorily we should have a self. So we can just say print um, we can say something like self dot brand. So I'm printing the brand, and one more we can say self dot model. So I'm printing the model. And these two have printed. Now I want to call the I want to basically give the variable so that this constructor can instantiate. So I can use car1. I can assign car1. Let's say I can call the car class. Okay, okay, and then I can say something like Toyota, Toyota. Okay, and then I can say Camry. Can do that, do like that, and then car one dot this info. You can use the info. Basically, you have to, as I mentioned, there is an indentation issue in Python, so we should use it properly. So car1 display and then info. Then we should use that's info method we can call. So let's see how it works. So here I'm passing two argument because I want to instantiate. So car1 is equal to car info. So function self. Okay. Then the car2, we can also give something like car2 is equal to r. You can say it's like Honda. Then we can say Toyota. Okay. Then car2 dot info. You can just say display info and just say display info. Okay. Sorry guys, it's not init. It's init. I missed it here. Oh, yep. Now I think it should work. There you go. Its car is printing Toyota Camry. Car is printing Toyota. So here I am using concept of like uh, self keyword. So init is a constructor we know, and init or any method in Python will have self as a first keyword, and we can basically instantiate like self dot brand and then self dot model, and we can call this car class by passing the two argument, and constructor will take these two argument and will print the result. Okay, that's how we normally um, works, and there's a lot of similarity with Java here. This constructor also takes parameter in Java. So next is we should see how to call CSV classes now. So there is also one thing called as requirement star. Like how will you use requirements.txt? Okay, so let's say in terminal, okay, if you want to install some packages, you should see you should say something like pip install -r, and you should say something like requirements.txt. Okay. So this will take all the packages that you have mentioned in the requirements.txt, and it will say that if anything is not installed, it will basically install that. Okay. So now next is, let's see how to basically call CSV files. Okay, so you can just say something like file is equal to open. As I mentioned, open function is used to open a file. Okay, so let's say if you want to open example.txt, okay, and you want to read the content, so you should use R. Okay, and then we can just say that's a way we should open. Now reading the entire file, if you want to read the entire file, then we should something use something like with, because it should start with with open, and then it should say something like as file. Okay, now if you want to use read the content, it should say like content is equal to file dot read. Read method is used to read the file, and then print the content. So I want to print the content, so it will go to the example.txt, it will read the file and print the content. The content of the file is, this is a new file, writing to the new file using writing to new file using writing. These are the content. This is the content of the file. Okay, and it will print. Now you want to read like line by line. Okay, then you could use something like this. This is perfectly fine. Okay, instead of line by line read method, you can use something called as readliness. Okay, you can use that, because this will read line by line, and then you can use iteration for content. Okay, in no, for line in content. Okay, and then you can just say this will be indented, so you should use here line down strip. That's how we normally read the content of a file. It will print the same thing. Okay, now imagine if you want to write a file. So if you want to write a file, so how will you do that? So like with open example.txt. Now here we will use sorry, w as file. Now you can just say file dot write. Okay, you can just say hello world, and you can just say new line, and simply you can also write something else. Hello world, writing the file. Okay, in a Python, you can write something else, and you can just print it. Okay, so if you just go here, you just see the content has been written. Okay, that's how you normally write. Now let's say if you want to append something, simply you should take this and use append. So instead of w, use a. Okay, you should say something like appending a content. If you want to add some extra content with the current content, you can do appending Python. If you execute that, you should see the content has been written. Okay, so let's say you want to write some generators. Generators means, as I mentioned, it's like iteration. It concept is iteration, but it will use a yield keyword. Okay. Let's say I want to use the Fibonacci series, right? Let's say Fibonacci series. So I want to use limit. Okay. Now let's say, as I mentioned, Fibonacci series is like adding the value from the first two letters will be the same 0 1, and then next letters will be the adding of the previous two, right? So my A and B will be 0 comma 1. Okay, and then I'll use something like while A less than limit. Okay, then yield. So here I'm using generator because I'm using yield, right? Okay, A comma B is equal to B, A plus B. As I mentioned, the next two letters, the first two will be the same. Next will be like 0 1, 2 will be 2 plus 1, 3, 3 will be 3 plus 2 5. That's how it will be. So that's how we have to basically add the variables. Okay, and next is you have to basically for number in Fibonacci. Let's say I want to print the first 10 numbers, Fibonacci numbers for total value 10, then print number. Let's see. So you can see friends, like 0 1, then 0 plus 1 1, then 1 plus 1 2, 2 plus 1 3, 3 plus 2 5, 5 plus 3 8. That's how it will print the Fibonacci series. But here the concept is we should use an yield keyword if you want to use generators, Python generators. Okay. I think that should be enough, friends, for today's session. Thank you very much.